And they said Jak and Daxter was the best Naughty Dog franchise. No, they got it wrong. Uncharted is clearly better. He also kills a lot of people in these games. And as a Chad PS5 haver, you could just play these all day. And apparently, according to Greg, there's an Uncharted movie. Let me ask you something, Greg. Does Jak and Daxter have a movie tie-in? Wait, what do you mean, not yet? Let him do it. As long as his next project isn't a tie-in for The Last of Us Part 2, we should be fine. Hello, my name is Hunter, the movie reviewing horse, because when it comes to cinema, humans cannot be trusted. We also can't trust whatever reptilians are running the IRS. I commit tax fraud like a responsible horse. Naughty Dog is a game studio that got its start around 1984 doing God knows what. They really didn't come into the limelight until they started making Crash Bandicoot. A couple years later, they got bored of Crash Bandicoot and switched Crash Bandicoot out for Jak and Daxter games. They made 3 of those, and then this other one that nobody really liked, and then another one. Then they gave up and let someone else try and make the games, and then they were like, okay, we're done. It was around now that Naughty Dog decided to completely change their approach to making video games. So they sat there and watched all the Indiana Jones movies, about 50 times each, and they said, hey, what if we just knocked this into third gear? And they would ride this for the next 10 years. Uncharted 1 kind of fumbled a little, but they used it as the basis for something amazing. By the second game, you're hanging off the end of a train and you're running down the goddamn street being chased by an unstoppable truck and fucking buildings collapsing all over the place and you're shooting grenade launchers at people and you're hanging off the back of the fucking plane! For 4 incredible games and 2 stinky dumb ones, Naughty Dog did everything in their power to raise the bar higher and higher. These were great stories with great characters, with great talent behind it all. And then they made Last of Us Part 2. Well, things had to go downhill eventually. There was also the Lost Legacy expansion sort of thing that they did for Uncharted 4, but I never finished that one. But those 4 major titles that they did were actually really good games. Thieves' End is still one of my favorite games of all time. So yeah, sure, I was kind of excited when they announced a movie adaptation for these games. Now, I know I always go into these with a mountain of skepticism, you know, because video game tie-in movies have worked out so well for video games in the past, Sony included. But unlike other video games, Uncharted was always laser-focused on the treasure hunting aspect. It's great characters, it's fantastic storytelling. It might actually work out really good for this movie. And then we saw the first trailer, and oh boy, right off the bat we had problems. You guys have my impressions video on that trailer, actually, so I'm not gonna dwell too much on it, but yeah. Tom Holland is playing Nathan Drake, which, I get it, he's the biggest name in Hollywood right now, but see, here's the thing. Everyone wants Tom Holland in everything because he's a nice guy. They're like, oh, he's such a nice guy. But that's the problem. Nathan Drake is an asshole. We don't want a nice guy playing an asshole. Nathan's not a nice guy. He's egotistical. He'll do anything to accomplish his goals. He has killed so many people in so many games. Now, there's really no easy way around this problem, all right? Everyone will tell you that the best casting choice for Nathan Drake would be Nathan Fillion. In fact, There was a fan film, it's on your screen right now, a fan film a couple years back which starred Nathan Fillion as Nathan Drake. And he was good in that. He was really good in that. However, he's definitely too old to be playing a younger Nathan Drake. I think more than anything, going into this movie, I wanted it to have pretty much the same vibe that the 15-minute fan film did. The casting choices don't stop there, because Mark Wahlberg is definitely the wrong person to be playing Sully. I got nothing against the guy, he's just... I would not have picked him to play Sully in a million years. He's not old enough, he's not witty enough, he doesn't smoke cigars enough. Sully said in the games, quote, "I'm getting too old for this." And Mark Wahlberg just does not look old enough. Doesn't stop there either, because there's no Elena in this movie, like, at all. She's like one of the most important characters in all 4 of the games, and she's just not here, like, at all. The casting choice for Chloe, however, was perfect. That is the perfect actress to be playing Chloe. Even though literally every single one of these characters is out of character, oh my lord. Everyone is out of character. There isn't a second that goes by in this movie where I'm like, that is not Nathan Drake. That is not Victor Sullivan. Where the hell is Elena? Nobody in this movie behaves the way they do in the games. Like, at all. Not only that, but they couldn't stop stabbing each other in the back. You got this one woman in this movie who's playing the right hand of our main villain guy, and then the father of the main villain guy betrays the main villain guy, so the main villain guy betrays his father, and then Chloe, she comes in and betrays Nathan, and then Nathan gets betrayed by Sully, and then Chloe gets betrayed, and then the main villain guy gets his throat slit. So Chloe gets betrayed again, but then Chloe tries to betray Nathan, but Nathan betrays Chloe, and then Sully comes back and tries to betray everybody again, and I don't think that was all of the betrayals in this movie. There is no trust. There is no trust throughout this entire movie with anyone. It's a miracle that they actually found any gold at the end, because, like, every character in this movie is really, really busy stabbing every other character in the back.
Guess which character's actually
betraying everyone in the movie?
I don't know,
all of them?
They talk about Sam a lot in this movie, too. You know, Sam, the character we didn't even know existed until the 4th game. They talk about him a lot. This movie, like, cobbles together a lot of pieces from the games. You got the treasure hunting aspect of it all. You got the puzzle solving. You got the running and the gunning. You got the complete disregard for the laws of physics, as you can see on screen with them carrying these old wooden ships with a couple of helicopters. But the crazy thing about it all is, it actually works. Yes, our casting choices are awful. Yes, everyone is out of character. Yes, everyone keeps betraying each other, but it is fun. If you can kind of disassociate the movie from all of the games and just kind of think of it as its own thing, it's actually a really, really fun movie. There's a bit in this movie where they're trying to go through the underground catacombs, and then there's a scene of him hanging out the back of an airplane, and they're robbing this auction house, and then they're fighting over these 2 pirate ships which are being hauled by helicopters, and yes, Nathan Drake does in fact kill a lot of people in this movie. And that is good, because there's not a single game where you don't kill a lot of people. We ran into this problem when Sony did the Ratchet & Clank movie, which there is not a single game in that franchise where you're not hauling big, massive guns and shooting people. And that movie really, really toned down the violence. I was kind of afraid this movie would do the same thing, and it did not. I even said myself in our impressions video of this that this might be a movie where we could just forego telling a great story and just have a really fun and bombastic, crazy treasure hunt adventure. And that is absolutely what is going on here. Trust me when I say you will get a lot more out of this movie if you don't associate it with the characters or any of the Uncharted games, like, at all. Just go into this expecting a fun, over-the-top treasure hunt adventure movie, and you will have a lot more fun with it. Once you do that, this becomes Indiana Jones that meets the action stunts of Mission Impossible, and then some. There's a part in this movie with the two pirate ships where they all get grappling hooks and they're swinging on ropes over to the other ship, and it's like, come on, you're not even trying to be serious anymore. Like, at this point, you're just having fun. That's the thing, too. The third act for this movie is extremely entertaining. Everyone was expecting this movie to kind of hit its peak at the bit where they're hanging out the back of the airplane, and it does kind of lull down after that for a little while, but then we get this great big showdown scene with the two helicopters. The build-up to this great big finale isn't half bad either. Like, it's a pretty well-thought-out treasure hunt that we have to go through in order to get to this point. It's all about finding the secret keys and uncovering all the clues and all that great stuff that they have in those old-timey treasure hunt movies. You know, the same stuff that made the Uncharted games really good. You know, unless you're in those games to just, you know, kill a lot of people, which a lot of people do die in this movie. There's, like, this one big henchman guy. He's supposed to be, like, the big, strong guy that's supposed to be, like, a really, really big threat. But we run into casting choice problems again with that guy, because you can't help but like him. It was honestly kind of a bit upsetting when they killed him. And then they proceeded to drop a frickin' sailing ship on top of the one main bad guy we had left. I just threw out a lot of spoilers for this movie, I know. And I'll probably do the same thing for the sequel. Which, the end of the movie hinted at a sequel, and am I gonna complain about that? No, I don't think I am. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but this movie did make its money back opening weekend, which is more than I can say for Moonfall. Now, some of you viewers are probably sitting there, my more critical ones at least, are probably sitting there going, you horse piece of shit, if you can't overlook all the laws of physics in frickin' Moonfall, then why is it okay for them to be lifting pirate ships with a bunch of helicopters in this movie? Which is my impression of the assholes who watch this show. And if I must answer that question, I think the real problem between the two of them is because where Moonfall has a complete and blatant disregard for science, this movie, I mean, yeah, there's no physical way that the helicopter would be able to lift that ship, and the ship would definitely probably fall apart the moment you even tried, but at least it was fun. Where Moonfall devolves into this overly high-stakes, dumb, stupid sci-fi chase scene where all the lasers are going pew, pew, pew. This movie at least tried to do something interesting. Not only that, but it was actually kind of refreshing to have some low stakes for once, because I'm getting really tired of Hollywood movies that think that the stakes have to be overly high and through the roof in order to get people's attention. Kind of like what The Rise of Skywalker did with its 10 million planet-destroying Star Destroyers, but that's an entirely different rant altogether. Now, I get it, I was not kind to Moonfall, like, at all, but I think it's a combination of a number of things that where this movie goes up and Moonfall goes down. It might even couple in with the fact that, well, you know, I'm kind of an Uncharted fan. That said, as an Uncharted fan, this movie was kind of a letdown. It had some great stunt pieces, it had some great action sequences, it had some great humor, but this is not the Uncharted that I have come to love, with its great characters and its great stories. I mean, this movie does have some friendly little nods to the games. Like, there's one scene where they're walking up on a beach and Nolan North starts talking to them from a beach chair. And that stuff's awesome, but it's not enough to really sell this movie for me. Like, as an Uncharted tie-in movie, this film does not work. As a fun, bombastic treasure hunt movie, though, this film can be a lot of fun. In fact, I kind of do want them to make that sequel, which they've certainly made enough money back to make that sequel, alright? This movie had a budget of $120 million, and it has made, as of me recording this, $275 million. So, yeah, there's clearly some interest in this movie. A sequel is not out of the question. This movie manages to nail the action sequences and the treasure hunting feel of the games way better than I thought they would. And if they actually learn from the mistakes that they did in this movie, maybe get a little bit more into the characters in the next one, try to fix them up a little bit, make them, like, more like in the game, and we actually get Elena, that might actually turn out to be an extremely good movie. So, yeah, they could use this film as the basis for something way, way better down the line. And I kind of want them to. Video game tie-in movies strike again, but I'm giving this one a very strong 7 out of 10. And if they're using this as the basis for the next film, and they do all that stuff I said, they could easily bump that up to a 9. This is not a great movie, but it's not a bad movie either. Given the expectations I went into this movie with, this could have been a whole lot worse. I did say that the Uncharted games could translate very, very well to the big screen, and that kind of helped it a little bit, honestly. The games were already heavily based on stuff like Raiders of the Lost Ark or all the other Indiana Jones movies, so, like, the origin story was already there. They have all the right pieces, but it feels like they're still trying to fit them together. And if they can figure it out by the next movie, it might turn out to be really, really good. So I'm gonna give this movie the benefit of the doubt and hope to God that the sequel does it better. Don't fuck me on this one, Uncharted, okay? Don't fuck me on this. Because I'm actually trusting you. Probably more so than everyone in this movie trusts each other. My advice, if you're looking for a kind of low-stakes, really fun, action-packed treasure hunt, definitely check this movie out. But if you're going into this as an Uncharted fan, looking for an Uncharted movie, you'll still probably get some enjoyment out of this, even though it doesn't really work. Which is way better than it has any right to be. One day we'll have good video game tie-in movies. Maybe. I have noticed a pattern of them getting somewhat better. Except Hitman, of course. My name is Hunter, and this has been a Hunter Review. Hey guys, thanks for watching our awesome review on the Uncharted movie. I'm gonna go ahead and thank the patrons now, because all of the links down there are not related to Patreon. Dark Blue Flyer, the FOE3, Gavin Domenico, Saxuan, Ghost to All, Tribal Typhoon, Tapai Taro, and Julian Gushway. Now, if you want to support anything, go down to one of the links below in the description. There's a whole bunch of them down there, and all of them are for supporting Ukraine. What's happening there is horrible. It's getting worse every day, but the news and the stories of bravery, defiance, and just pure resistance to this invasion are an inspiration to us all. Ukraine, we see you. The whole world knows you're resisting. Keep fighting the good fight. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching our review. Hopefully, we'll be able to keep up this pattern of one review per month, depending on how many movies come out this summer. I'll see you guys next month, hopefully. Here's some credits.
There once was a guy who created a machine, a thing that would take people to and from some other world. And when he arrived, he had run into a pony who smiled and decided that they both should go see a film. When that movie sucked, they decided to join forces, and then they created a new show called Hunter Reviews.